Hey, 2G6 checking in, and I haven't made a video in a while, but okay, well, you guys know that the whole recovery process. I'm gonna stop bitching about that and get into the commentary. So, what I've realized as of recently, and just been keeping track of all this stuff, just regarding next gen consoles, because I'm kind of worried about them at this point. And the reason I'm worried about them is because I heard that Battlefield 4, yes, Battlefield 4, Battlefield 4 is like the next Call of Duty right now because everybody's talking about it and how it's gonna play on these next gen consoles. So, just doing some research and stuff, it's shown that the next gen consoles are actually going to run at around 900p instead of 1080p. Now, the only real reason this is actually bothering me is because 1080p has been around since God knows how long, and let's see, consoles have it right now. Like the PS3 can have it, the 360 has it, but just because they have the 1080p doesn't mean that it can run at the ideal settings. Now, the ideal frame rate that we want the actual consoles to be is at 60 frames per second, because when you have things at 60 frames per second, things will look a lot crisp, smoother, and overall be a better gameplay experience than kind of, I don't want to say laggy, but a little slower paced game. Like 60 frames a second, though I doubt some people have seen it before, it will really make a difference, and especially with 1080p, it'll look really nice. So I really want the next gen consoles to both be able, not including the Wii U, but the PS4 and the Xbox One, to be able to handle Battlefield 4 at 1080p on 60 frames per second, because then it'll be the closest thing. Oh yeah, with the 64 player servers to handle all that, because then it'll be the closest thing to PC. And as of now, PC is quote unquote master race for games, and it's for obvious reasons. Because yeah, never mind. That's another video for another day. And um, yeah, but I guess what they're really saying is the consoles aren't strong enough to handle 1080p at 60 frames per second. Because right now they're at about 900p, and I don't know how many frames per second they are, but they said that they're about 900p, and I'm just kind of, I don't know if I want to say mad, but a little agitated because, like I said earlier, it's been around for a while, and what my if the bottom line is they can't come down to do 1080p with 30 frames per second, then they need to do 720 with 60 frames per second. You still have HD, but the game is looking a lot smoother than the 720 with 30 frames per second. I'm telling you, people that only play on consoles and have never seen a PC before, when I show my friends my computer and I show them Battlefield from around 80 to, or from around 60 to 90 frames per second, they just go, "Oh my god!" And it's in 1080p, and I guess that makes sort of a difference. It's just resolution. I mean, it's nice to have, but at the end of the day, frames are more important, and that's why some people who don't have or can't afford the strongest graphics cards go down to 720p and change your settings so they can at least play at 6 frames per second, because you get a more of a tactical advantage because you can see stuff more. It's more pictures a second, and it's just really nice. Frames per second is more important than resolution at the end of the day, and that's my personal opinion. And I just don't see why you would want to have better resolution over frames per second. That's really it, though. That all that I have to say about Battlefield 4 and the next gen consoles. I'm actually kind of, I don't know if I want to say sad or anything, but it's just a shame that the next gen consoles can't handle 1080p at 6 frames per second. But this is just one game, and Battlefield 4 is a really graphic, and just it just uses everything in the system that you're gonna need. And I'm sure that if the next gen console, the console players end up getting, um, and I just lost my thought. No, but I'm sure that if the next gen consoles end up getting 1080p 6 frames per second and 64 players, that they're gonna end up having some like overheating problems with the PS4, the Xbox One. So they're probably gonna make a trade off, and I hope to God that it's not 1080p at 30 frames per second. I hope it's 720 at 60 frames per second with 64 players, because that sounds more ideal than having what you have on the console than the PC. Because when you see it run on PC, it's just, it makes all the difference. Honestly, I know there's really no way for me to prove it. I mean, I can record a video in 60 frames per second rendered out and have a little side by side comparison. And I actually might just do that and show you guys really what I mean by 30 to 60 frames per second. And you actually can realize it, but YouTube only lets us show in 30 frames per second, like I said in my other video. But yeah, that's about it. It's a real shame that the next gen consoles won't be able to handle Battlefield 4 at 1080 for 60 frames per second. But I guess at the end of the day, these are consoles, and this is what normal people are just going to pick up, just kind of a pre-assembled computer. And you have to also realize that if you want to get 1080p at 60 frames per second, you're going to have to pay a little bit more than 400 or $500. And honestly, you can take 400 or $500 and make a PC out of that and just call it a day. But that's all that I have to say. That's my little ramble for the day about Battlefield 4. And yeah, if you guys have anything else you want me to talk about, I'll just keep on talking about what I've been paying attention to for this long. And I haven't made videos in a while, so I have a lot to catch up on, like the Storm 3 patch. Yeah, that's about it. You just check it out. Thanks for watching the video, and bye.